You see this? That's what started all this.
The Justice League is such an important group of characters. It was one of the core comic books and core groups that created the Silver Age, which is regarded as one of the most influential and important eras in comic books. And what I really wanted to do with this film was to honor that period of time where these characters really made their mark in the mainstream. The big inspiration for this project was the book DC New Frontier by the late great Darwin Cook. His art style and his story really helped to prove just how iconic these characters are, and to prove just what these characters should be and how they should behave and how they should be represented. I really wanted to just kind of bring the feeling that book gave me of you know, the dawn of heroes is about to come, and it's a good thing, and it feels right, and you feel safe with these people watching over you.
From a costume perspective, trying to incorporate that time period was quite good to do, because it actually went into the origins and what they could have looked like before they became their true modern selves, as it were.
I actually wrote most of the script on the plane ride to Malta, and I was just trying to pass the time, and just all the conversations that these characters might have, just thinking, what is the first thing that Superman would say when he met the Flash, or what would Green Lantern say when he met the Martian Manhunter?
When he's so engrossed in a project, it consumes him, and it's fascinating to watch. When he used to take me to these locations before we started filming, he would be like, I want this bit here, I want that bit there, I want this happening here, here and here. And the way he would describe it, you could see it in your mind's eye.
It was very important to me for everybody to understand what we were trying to convey visually. So, you know, from writing the script, it went into storyboards, which, you know, I showed all the actors because I really wanted them to visually understand what the story was that we were trying to tell. When we were doing Crisis, I went through so many different actors, you know, and they couldn't do it because of different reasons here and there. And then Adam Paul, as we got closer and closer to production, he ended up playing the part, and it just ended up being like a match made in heaven.
Well, I've been friends with Jake for a long, long time, and for the last film, he kept losing actors that were playing Superman, and I thought, you know what, I'll step in. He needs somebody. It was like the last week or two of filming for the last film. I thought, well, I'll give it a go, just to give him somebody to fill in. And then if you find somebody better, fair enough. Then I ended up playing Superman, and then he's asked me to step into it again for the prequel. So here I am.
I really think he embodies the truth, the goodness, the inherent hope that goes into that character.
He's an inspiration, I think, more than anything, which means that obviously he'll inspire people to do good. So just by his actions, he's inspiring other heroes to do it. I mean, there's a reason he's 01 of the Justice League, I'm just saying.
Chelsea Hill is a ball of energy. She is enthusiastic, she's energetic, she turns up every day so willing to, you know, embrace the process.
So I went to university with Jake, and I knew Vicky via that. I played Wonder Woman in the last Justice League film they produced, and I was asked to reprise my role for this one. I also researched into Greek mythology a little bit, because that is what Wonder Woman's kind of backstory is based on.
Chelsea has worked the hardest in order to really discover who this character is, and she just puts so much of herself into her performance.
I think Diana is such an interesting character because she doesn't really work in the world of black or white. She's someone that looks at the bigger picture and wants to do things for the greater good and isn't above making darker choices. Her ethics is something that are really interesting, and I think it's something I myself can relate to quite a bit.
I think Batman is one of the most important and one of the most influential characters ever created, not just in the world of superheroes, but in the world of fiction in general. For as long as I can remember, he has stuck with me as a pivotal symbol of human excellence.
Jake playing as Batman, it's the first time I've got to act alongside him as Batman. I mean, obviously in the last film I acted alongside him when he played Bruce Wayne. But it was a fantastic experience.
I don't think he ever anticipated being surrounded by people who can fly and run at the speed of light. I think it would make anyone nervous and paranoid. So kind of getting into a state of paranoia was a paramount option for me, and there was a lot of time spent alone delving into these feelings and thoughts of distrust and anxiety. Thomas Day is without a doubt the biggest Flash fan that I know, and I know that his passion for the character, it comes through so inherently.
I played Barry Allen / The Flash in Justice League Crisis, one of Coles Webb's previous films, and doing this prequel story, Jake came to me and said there wouldn't be anyone else he'd want to play the Flash, so he approached me and asked me to play the character. Jake asked me to look into the physics of how speed works so I could better understand how a fast character might move.
Tom has this way of bringing a great deal of likability and relatability to this character that I think really resonates with our audience.
The reason the Flash means so much to me, it comes from a quote from the New 52 comics, which says, "Life is locomotion. I used to think if you weren't moving, you weren't living. But there comes a time in your life where you have to stop running away from what you're afraid of and start running towards something. Even if your path's not lit, trust that you'll find your way." And that was a big thing for me. When I first fell in love with The Flash, I was in my early 20s. I had no idea what I was doing with my life. I'd just finished university. And I fell in love with this character because that idea that I don't know where I'm going, and even now at 25, I still don't. But I'm trusting that I'm going to find my way and I'm going to do it my own way. And it's that character, the reason The Flash resonates with me so much is because that's how they portray themselves. It's not about knowing where you're going, it's about staying strong and staying true to yourself and forging that path. And for me, that's always been very important.
When we couldn't get Daniel Adler to return as Aquaman, I turned to a close friend of mine, Dave Parker, who has an incredible passion for the character of Aquaman.
So a few years ago I built a trident for an Aquaman costume for a party that Vicky and Jake were hosting. I've been a big Aquaman fan for a very long time. Jake asked me if I wanted to pick up the trident again, so I did.
Being relatively new to the process of acting and creating a character, and he really rose to the challenge, and he brings with him on set a real presence, like a real sense of regality. He is a king. As soon as he walks on set and he walks off set, he always contains this sense of hierarchy, and I think that it does such a service to him. Originally, the role of Martian Manhunter went to Tom Broadhurst. As we got closer to the shoot, it turned out he wasn't going to be able to play the role, so I had to try and find someone who could really, who could portray Martian Manhunter in a way that this story deserved, because he is the heart of this story. He's the first character that we see, and a lot of the narrative revolves around him.
I got a message off Jake a few days before they started filming, and I was overjoyed to accept his kind offer and step in.
Al has such a wealth of experience of working in the creative industry for so long, that he brings this incredible experience with him. You know, it's not really easy to play a character that will eventually end up being entirely CG created, but Al turned up to set every day with this incredible physicality to, you know, trying to make this character very grounded and very believable.
It's always a learning curve, and this being a CGI learning curve, big style, it's been very informative, and I've really enjoyed taking part of it. It's quite a free character because of this shape-shifting capabilities, and as with these things, there's a lovely sense of humour in there that's almost ironic, which I love that sort of comedy. Not that it's a comic role, but just the little touches here and there that always add to a character's backstory.
When I started writing a Justice League project that had Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, as one of the main characters, the only person I could think of to play that role was James Hallam. I have known James for almost 20 years. Never before have I met such an incredibly bright young performer.
He said he got Green Lantern prepared for me, and I was like, okay, I'll give it a go, because it was sort of like a Han Solo's character, and he knows how much of a Star Wars fan I am, so that he really hooked me with that. And so we did Justice League Crisis, and I was sort of a post-credit scene, and then I guess I nailed the audition because I've still got the part.
I sometimes consider James kind of like the rock star of this project. He always has a smile on his face, he wants to have fun, he's so engaging with everybody. And the fact that, you know, Hal Jordan is kind of like this rogue, I think that's something he was able to relate to and really bring to the character.
Wonder Woman was my favourite costume to do, because even though it was the 40s and 50s with the Golden Age style and time period for it to be inspired by, I wanted to go to the traditional Greek mythos roots. We took the costume that she had from Crisis, so I redid the entire bodice, but did it in a style that was heavily influenced by traditional Greek armour, with how the panels were made, mixed with a modern corset style. The skirt, I split that all up and actually trimmed them down a lot more and made more panels, so it looked like a traditional Greek fighting skirt.
My costume was fantastic. Vicky had done a fantastic job. It was tailored incredibly well. It looked so professionally done, and it didn't really adhere to one iteration of Wonder Woman either, which I thought was really awesome. It embodied a lot of her different iterations throughout the generations. It was also really awesome to kind of wear a corset and to have it well fitted, and the wig was beautiful as well. No, I really felt like the character in that costume.
Originally, we were going to have Aquaman in his green and orange, like we did in Crisis.
When I came here on Friday for final fitting, we found that the shirt that was made for me just wasn't fitting my body right. We adjusted it a couple of times and it just wasn't working. It was too tight across the chest, it was pulling me in, it was uncomfortable. So in the end, after Jake going, "Are you sure? Are you really sure?" I decided to go shirtless and just have the armour and the trousers.
So when you look at the bottom of a boat, you have the little barnacles stuck on the bottom, and then made hundreds of little shells, and there's even, if you look very carefully in one shot, there's a little seahorse based on Aquaman's pet seahorse, and moulded them all together so it looked like that on this giant conch shell that I ended up making, that all the aquatic life had just stuck to him because he was the king and they were there for him, and it painted it all gold, so it looked like a piece of metal, but when you really look at it, it's the aquatic life that lived and breathed around him under the ocean and whom he protected, and hence they protected him in his combat.
Originally it's a Kingdom Come Superman suit, so it's got the symbol basically on there, but Victoria created the original Superman symbol from the 1930s.
I made the symbol out of a type of plastic, just a very thin version where you can just heat it ever so slightly and you can mould it into the shape that you require, and made several different layers in different colours to give the 3D effect of the red against the yellow.
It was fantastic. I mean, it wasn't ideal for staying on, but it was great. It was good to have that Superman symbol on there. It was absolutely brilliant. I mean, just having the cape and the suit and just everything coming together was fantastic.
Green Lantern was a little bit of a tricky one because, like with the films, he's very CGI, he's always glowing, so obviously costume perspective is going to be a bit tricky to make him glow. But at the same time, I wanted him to look like he was straight from New Frontier. We didn't want him to look too modern, even though he's a space-based character, but we didn't want him to look like he was from the Jetsons.
And then I get like the comic accurate gloves and, you know, the chest plate and the mask. It's more fun, and you get a better sense of the character when you're in the costume. I don't know what it is, but it's just something that when you're in the costume, it sort of enhances any thoughts you had on the character, and you're like, right, yeah, this feels good. This feels right, sort of thing. I love that costume.
It's the most detail I've ever painted muscles in my life. But because it was fabric, it was sinking in, so I had to do it over and over and over again. And in the end, I got some different colour spray paints. I used a bit of yellow, bits of green, and even a slightly glow-in-the-dark green, just to give it a bit of a slight luminescent glow twinge to it. Flash's outfit I didn't personally make from scratch, but I had to take it in quite a lot because the poor boy, he did actually lose some weight before and bulked up a bit muscle-wise, so we had to take it into his shape. But the cowl never sat right on him because it was a fabric cowl and it had a wire metal piece going through the nose bridge. The poor boy had to stand there for hours and hours while I tried to get this headpiece to fit in better.
The amazing work of the costume team meant that when I stepped onto the stage, when I stepped onto set, I felt like a superhero.
I absolutely love my costume. I don't think I've ever worn a costume that has such an incredible collaboration of different talents. My cowl and my gauntlets were made by a relatively new company named Alter Ego Studios. They are the best replica cosplay creators.
Another point we would have liked to have done was the blue version of Batman. It just didn't sit well to relate to a modern audience.
One of my favourite parts of buying a suit is the utility belt. It is such a classic, cool design for the belt with the, you know, the metallic looking buckle, but with all the big pouches.
We got these little pouches, and they were little camera pouches. And we managed to slice in the back and paint them all up gold, age them up a little bit, and then they look like little suitcases. And ironically, the strap for the belt itself was like a nylon belt that you use to put around a suitcase to hold it all together.
The suit would not have worked without Victoria Rhiannon. She is the absolute glue that holds this whole production together. Without her, this whole thing would have fallen apart, and that is no lie.
Move with me.
We're going to be shooting scene 2 there, so that is your good self, your good self, your good self, and this guy. We're all going to be having we're all going to shoot scene 2. We are going to, it's just a dialogue scene, it's just in front of a body of water. We get a cool superhero landing from you, which I'm looking forward to shooting, and then you two get in each other's face.
Like yellow pages.
Sorry? Not a natural bro. I love it, like in one of the storyboards, you're trying to separate, and I'm just like, I want to see how this plays out.
Batman, help me! No, let them fight.
As you guys know, James isn't with us until Sunday because a few things have come up beyond his control. So he will be with us very early on the Sunday. Vicky will quickly take in his costume. Yeah, Al, if you want to get to us for about 12ish,
12,
like I say, that's absolutely fine. Cause,
That's here.
Yes, to this, yeah.
So we're here on day one of
the main shoot. Here we are with everybody. We're all getting changed. Everybody's made to look beautiful. Here we are in Al Bruce's house. Our Martian Manhunter, who's very kindly given us the space to get ready for shooting. It's raining a bit more than we wanted, but I think you know, the weather has decided to give us a bit more ambience and atmosphere than we originally intended. So looking forward to this. This is going to be a good shoot.
We're used to being wet.
Wet in the sea.
Aquaman pun. What are those, 2s?
I don't know.
3s?
I feel like a 1, I'll be honest.
You look so pretty.
Thank you.
Surprised you're not fucking Totos would you this?
No, that's too embarrassing. Sorry, Dorothy.
I was Dorothy.
Oh, I was talking to James.
I thoroughly enjoyed working on set. There's not a soul in the crew or cast that I didn't enjoy working with.
Great sense of camaraderie and brilliant banter, and I had to stifle many a giggle, to say the least.
My favourite moments are working with the team. Sat laughing, joking, and filming Jake, who played Batman. I've known him since I was 16 years old. The same with Adam, who played Superman. These are people I've known for years and years.
Chelsea, obviously, who played Wonder Woman. We've had quite a few laughs behind the scenes and stuff. We've obviously got quite a few inside jokes. I don't want to offend anybody, so I won't say it on here.
Oh my god, so we had such a fantastic time. For some reason, a weekend in August was freezing cold and slinging it down for the entire time, but that is UK weather. But we had such a laugh. It was such a good group of people and like-minded people as well, which I think was really helpful.
I love the cast to pieces, but sometimes it's a lot easier to do a kid's birthday party and get a load of kids under control than a bunch of actors in the rain.
Being in the rain, in the wind, semi-naked, gets very cold very quickly.
The only one who looked good in the rain was Jake, obviously playing Batman, because he just drenched him.
Al was so good, because even though we had at one point a parasol, especially at the pond area, over the camera, in between takes, he would literally have the umbrella and just dash over to the actors and just wait with them. And then we were about to start rolling again, and he would just dash back and go over the camera. So the camera was getting double protection during shots. But, oh, it was just absolutely hilarious. He was so good to us all.
Being very much older than everyone else, and I mean very much older than everyone else, it was a bit like a night out with my son and his mates, who are of similar age to the cast, I shall say.
Me and James have both appeared in Batman 12 and then, of course, Crisis. We never actually interacted personally, and like working with him over these last few days has just been amazing.
The first time I did any Green Lantern stuff, it was just me and a blue screen. This time around, I'm with people. It's nice to have people to interact with, you know. But I've had a blast this time. I had a blast last time, but this time especially. You've got more people to bounce off, and the chemistry comes across more natural.
When Starro performed puppetry-wise, I had to lie on the floor in the middle of a forest on quite a warm day. That was an interesting experience, especially when dog walkers are walking behind you and it just looks like he's murdered somebody on the ground.
There is so much heart, so much love dedicated to every scene. Every member of the team is giving their heart and soul to this. They are a fantastic group of people and I love working with them, and hopefully I will continue to work with them for many years to come.
You guys have been absolutely fantastic the past couple of days. It's been an absolute honour and a privilege to work with all of you. I could not have done it without any of you. You've all been absolutely spectacular.
So on the final day we had a little wrap party, and so for each of the cast members I made a little gift.
Starro! That's really cool! Beautiful! I love it! Fantastic!
And I made them all a little badge of Starro, but Starro was in each of their character costumes. It's so green.
So green.
I think they all appreciated that little homage to the film, but with a quirky little cutesy twist that we're just one big daft family.
It's always a learning curve, and this being a CGI learning curve, big style, has It's been very informative, and I've really enjoyed taking part of it.
So the program I used to create Martian Manhunter is called Character Creator Free, which is actually the same software that Ubisoft used to create the Assassin's Creed games. It took about 2 months to create the alien version, as I was working with a lot of references so that he'd loosely resemble the guy who was originally going to be voicing him. But then by the time it came to making the human model, he'd been recast, so I had to essentially start from scratch when it came to the hero version that he'd morph into. But then in the end this seemed to work out for the best, as when he did transform there was a much more noticeable change.
The work that Jack has been doing for us for the past couple of years when it comes to CG animation is absolutely incredible. I think it brings our films and our series up to levels that it just couldn't reach without him, and I think the work that he puts in is a real testament to who he is as an artist and as a person.
I've yet to see what the rest of it looks like, as it's going to be CGI, so I have no idea how tall I'm going to be, how slim I'm going to be, which are two things I'm not in real life. Beauty of CGI.
So we had a screening, and they were asking questions, and they were getting really involved, and was like, oh, I like how you did that. How did you do that? And even our big comic book fans have gone, oh, I preferred how you did that to how a professional did it. So it really does help us and push us to do even better than before. And it's so good to see. And since then, we've been put into a lot of competitions, and we've actually won a few categories that we've come in. So that's a nice little buzz that you get from it, and it does push us to go on to do better and bigger things. I really think it's pushed us more as people. We've managed to branch out a bit more, and we've learned a lot from each other.
We just put our heart and soul into this film, so we just hope you guys appreciate it.
What an honour it was to be a part of the project, how grateful I am for the opportunity, how much fun I've had working on this project. It has honestly been so much fun, and it's just so nice to be doing a little bit of drama again. So yeah, I'm just really grateful for the opportunity, and I want to thank Jake and Vicky for that.
I've loved every minute of it.
If it wasn't for the likes of Jake, Vicky, Adam and the rest of that amazing team, I probably wouldn't be acting. I probably wouldn't be performing, I wouldn't be doing any of the stuff that I'm doing. So the only thing I can say to all of them is thank you.
Watch the film!